What's up, everybody? We're back here on the Conquer Athlete Podcast. I have Coach Ryan Bucciantini and myself, Jason Leydon. We are back here on the show. The magnificent, the wonderful, the non-tall, but the very fit with a great jawline and a Brad Pitt obsession, Tyler Cook is not here. He is getting ready and prepared for the Syndicate crown, of which I'm going to go on the record and say his team is going to win it. They've been training hard. They have a great team. They're fit. They're ready. They have experience. They have Ryan at the helm and Tyler on the floor as the helm, and they're going to crush it. This weekend, we also have Tudor going to NorCal Classic.
Nasty. Dude, Tudor's looking impressive, man. Tudor, you look like a Greek god at this point. You look out of control.
You know, I'm going to say it now because by the time this comes out, the NorCal Classic will be over, so it won't matter. He fucking rolled his ankle 3 days ago.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens coming in, how the event went. You know, for Tudor, it's like...
do they have a run?
I don't know. They're one of those competitions where they're like, we're not going to release the workouts until that day. And NorCal Classic is notorious for just doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I honestly think, Ryan, even though I work with him, Tudor has the ability to win the games. And he's shown that, at World Fitness Project where he podiumed, and then at Legends when he was with Sprigg and those guys, and he just dominated the back half of the competition. For him, it's literally, there's like 1 or 2 workouts, and it's not fitness wise. It's mental, what happens. So for instance, like at Legends, he had that mishap with the sandbag where he just got a bad judge. And an unfortunate situation where he was winning the event. They no-repped him, whatever. He kept going. He moved to the next spot, and they made him go all the way back. So you're looking at a workout that's that fast and aggressive. You have to go back a spot. Now you're automatically down 3, 4, 5 spots,
100%.
right? And it's like that moment the athlete has a decision to just keep fucking full steam ahead, or they get jacked up mentally, right? And in that moment, he learned from it. We had a long conversation about it, but he had that split moment where he backed off the throttle, and he took a position, and it's like, okay, like looking back, playing a woulda, shoulda, coulda game based off how the points went, like you don't back off the throttle, you keep hammering it, you finish 3 spots higher, and now you're on the podium going to the games. It's like things like that can occur. So once he can get past unfortunate situations that aren't in his control, I do think he can win the games because he's proven that he can beat everybody because he has in workouts, whether it's at World Fitness Project or at the games last year or at Legends. So
yeah, I mean, and to your point, you never know what's going to happen 1 or 2 events from there. Like somebody else can get hit with the same sort of thing, right, and get dropped down. So yeah. I mean, that's a really good thing to kind of reflect on.
Yeah,
athlete wise.
So Tyler's ready to go, right? He's feeling good,
dude. Tyler's ready to go. He was a little beat up post Wodapalooza, kind of dealing with a little bit of a calf thing, but I think we got that sorted. The rest of the team sounds like they're in good spirits. They really doubled down on kind of the lifestyle thing. They're all, call them for sure working professionals, like they're professional athletes and professional career people. But they really doubled down and dialed some things in. So I know they had some real good team training weekends heading into this, and they're feeling good about where they're at. So, yeah, I think it's honestly, awesome. I agree with you. I think it's theirs to lose.
I love it. I'm excited to see him go.
So,
and you've been working a lot. Obviously, you've been Tyler's coach forever, but you've been working, I would say, like a lot more hands-on a bit with the team in general, correct?
Yeah, it's so hard having multiple coaches in the kitchen when it comes to team stuff. And I think what I realistically have learned, this will be my 3rd year with the team, is I'm Mr. Miyagi from behind the scenes, and I kind of have some sidebar conversations with the athletes, but like realistically, they know what they're doing. They don't need me for, motivation or workout breakdowns. Like I let them figure all that stuff out, and then I'll listen to it and then may or may not give feedback on that. But this year specifically has been more about learning how to bring in and integrate 2 new members of the team as quickly as possible.
Yeah. How's that been going?
Honestly, really, really good. They had some hiccups early in the year where they were they were trying to find a gal that was kind of at their level, and they tried a gal. She didn't really work out. She kind of, not that she had holes, but she really didn't kind of fill out the team the way they needed it to, balance out some weaknesses. So they ended up landing on a girl named Emma, and she's been great. She had a couple holes we need to dial in, but we had plenty of time to do it. And it's really about managing personalities. You have two people coming back that have both been to the games multiple times, super accomplished, a lot of competitive experience, and then two new people who are super fit, but don't have a lot of high level competitive experience. And a lot of it was managing the expectations of the experienced competitors and be like, listen, like, it's your opportunity to mold, develop, and share experiences to get them up to par. And, when training weekends didn't go quite to plan, there was a lot of conversation around that of, if you guys create conflict, it's just going to beat the team down more, where try to turn these things into learning experiences instead of being like, oh, this person's behind the curve, and making them feel like crap. Because that's kind of what happened year 2. And they experienced firsthand what implosion looks like. So
where did they implode on year 2?
Maybe implode isn't the right word. There was a lot of animosity between what individuals were doing on the team training wise, and maybe not showing up fully prepared, ready to go for the games. And you could just see, like, emotionally as the weekend went on, where it just sucked all the momentum they had going into it. And that was my big goal this year, was nothing was left unsaid. If there was things that needed to be addressed, we addressed it that training weekend. We addressed concerns. And I really, I left a lot of this up to the team this year of, they weren't sure if they were going to do crash or not. And we had a conversation of, okay, if we're going to dedicate the training or the competition wear and tear on ourselves, what are we actually going to get out of doing the competition? And they ultimately decided that they want to do it, and they had a great weekend.
Where they finished?
I want to say they finished 4th.
Nice.
Which for them, that was like, there were good teams there. Both Mayhem teams were there. And there was another heavy hitter team. So for them, not really having like a major competition under their belt, they held their own, and it opened the door to a lot of good conversation, and it was productive. That's all I can add. Like, I don't care about crash in the grand scheme of things, like where they land. I care that they went into the competition, they got some actionable data out of it, and they became a better team because of it.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing, because like, everybody's fit on the team. Like, there's some small holes that would need to get addressed if we were going to run it back next year. But for the most part, it's just like, hey, are you guys a unit? Are you a cohesive unit? Because the best teams out there, it's not about the fitness. It's about the fluidity of how they're working through the workouts. So yeah.
How many teams qualify out of Syndicate?
I should know that. I want to say it's 3. I believe 3. I don't really care, because they're going to win, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. Any super strong teams there?
Yeah. There's some hitters.
3 teams. We got 3 teams. Coming out of Syndicate Crown.
Yeah, there's some hitters this year. Syndicate was definitely one of the bigger. A lot of teams put their egg into Syndicate,
which I was surprised at, because generally that's an area that's very heavily dominated with talent.
Yeah.
If you go throughout the years. Syndicate Crown.
The workouts definitely vowed well to them. So that's good. Like, there's nothing there that we're like, ooh, man.
Yeah.
Like, we have real damage control to do. There's one that, we got to be mindful of, but really nothing I'm like super, super concerned about. Even like the odd implement stuff, I'm like, we're good. Like the wheelbarrow, like that'll be cool.
Yeah. So who we have here? Like for men division, like is Alex Vigneault, I don't know, there's a couple people I don't know, Austin Hatfield, Colton Martins.
On the individual side?
Yeah, there's nothing like.
Well, I mean, you're getting a couple weeks into it now, so I think people are starting to fall off, right? People already punched their tickets.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you see Madero's?
Didn't make it.
Didn't make it. Yeah.
Yeah,
which is pretty.
He's got the online. He's got the online qualifier.
Yeah,
should be good.
Yeah. Well, he was talking about running it back. There's another one this weekend, and you I guess was considering potentially like flying back to try to make it
at NorCal.
I don't know if it was NorCal. I guess.
Like, he's in Washington? Like, where did he fly? To Torian?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. No, what am I talking about? He's in Idaho. He's
Yeah,
like
and
right next to me.
he flew out to Torrey, and I'm like, what? That's insane.
I don't know. Yeah, didn't work out though.
No, no, no. All right. So you had mentioned something about when you talk about the team 2 years ago dealing with volume and talking about like people in the workload not quite doing the right work to get where they need to get to. One of the most challenging things as a coach in this day and age is people's what's the word I'm looking for? People don't fucking know what they need. They think they don't know. And then they hire a coach and they're like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I need to do more of this. I need to do more of that. And at some point it's like, well, why the fuck did you hire a coach then? If you think you know what you have to do and what you need to do all the time. And you see younger coaches will get in trouble because they'll start adding things in and doing stuff. And then you run into junk volume and et cetera, et cetera. But how do you handle this, Ryan? And have you ran into this situation?
Yeah, well, to preface, what I said to you is I get really frustrated when athletes use volume and time in the gym as indicators of a good training session. And I think that is realistically a big problem in our sport because athletes see high-level athletes doing higher levels of volume, right? But that's not necessarily how adaptation works. Like, I think we should preface with this before we get into how I kind of manage it. It's like everybody's built different. Like underneath the hood, like from a muscle fiber makeup, like your genetics, all of these things, everybody's going to tolerate volume and intensity a little bit different, right? It's not universally across the board, or there'd just be one singular program that worked ultimately for everybody. So as an athlete, like, yes, I think there's a functional volume athletes need to be at to be at the highest level of the sport. Like you just have to be able to handle a high level, the volume that a high level competition is going to throw at you, right? That is a benchmark that an athlete does have to hit. That isn't necessarily what training is going to look like. Like we have to build to that volume. But when we get down to adaptation, right? Some people are going to be more voluminous in training, right? Where they're doing more volume of higher percentage work. And some athletes, are going to be more strength biased and they're going to need such a lower level of volume, still, high intensity in nature. But if you're not taking that into account, you're just doing volume for the sake of doing volume. And then when you translate that into time, that to me is the dumbest argument for a quality training program, right? Like just because you spend 2 hours in the gym, well, what does that 2 hours actually look like? Are you actively doing 2 hours of work? Or do you have ABCD of, a compound movement and some accessories, and that's taking you 2 hours because you're dilly-dallying?
Right.
So to quantify a training program based on time, to me, that's an arbitrary argument, and you're lying to yourself if you think that is productive. So all of that being said, how do I manage that? It's a great question. For me, it's about where am I at in the relationship cycle with this athlete, right? Am I week one? Am I 4 years in? Because those are very different conversations, and how I'm approaching the relationship is different, and the goals of what I'm trying to accomplish is going to be different. So on the front end, early on in a relationship, I bring awareness to it. I kind of put some feelers out there. I'm like, hey, just to play devil's advocate, I'll even ask the question. I'm like, you came to me for a specific reason. You hired a coach for a specific reason. You wanted some sort of guidance. So if I'm offering this level of guidance, where is the pushback coming from? Right? Like, is it an ego problem? Is it a fear problem? What is coming up for you that we need to address, and what sort of bridge do we need to cross? Because ultimately what I'm trying to do is create consistency and manage fatigue. That's like my big thing of what I'm trying to do, especially if a new athlete is coming to me who potentially is doing too much. We need to pull back the reins. They're not making progress like they need to make. So early on, it's about me learning, what is your maximum or maximal recoverable volume and minimal effective dose. That's like in the first couple months of the relationship, that's essentially what I'm trying to learn. And that comes with me dosing you a little low. That may come with me dosing you a little bit high, and kind of finding that happy medium of, okay, at the end of the week, how do you feel? Do you feel like you put in some real quality work and you're, recovered, ready to go next week? Okay, then we kind of have an idea of where you need to sit volume wise. So for the early athletes, I make some concessions. It's not my way or the highway. You have to do it this way or you're not going to see progress. I think that's a fast track to getting fired. I think it's about micro adjustments week over week, and you slowly get them to buy in through micro adjustments in the program of ultimately me taking them where they want to go. But if you just rip the Band-Aid off, they're going to be like, nah, dog, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And they're going to end up kind of leaving you in the dust.
Do you ever what's the word I'm looking for? Not, I guess, like I said, do you pre-reference what the training's going to look like when you work with people?
No.
Meaning, are you like, hey, Ryan, listen, I've seen this stuff you've done before. We're going to be at a lower volume, just so you're aware of that. And I don't do you ever talk to people like that?
No, it usually comes in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
I more go off of my end of week survey, and I care more about that. I'm like, how are you feeling? Like, after we get a few weeks into training, I'm like, okay, from when you came to me, how do you feel now? Are you feeling more refreshed? Do your energy levels feel better? Like, is your sex drive better or anything like that? I care more about those things and getting them to feel the difference in training versus like, hey, I see what you were doing. I think that was dumb. I'm going to pull you back to where I think you need to be. Because then I feel like that could almost bring in a level of like, this guy's kind of an egotistical dick.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, how about we just quantify this based on how you're feeling? And like, we'll run a couple weeks of things. And after that, I'm like, cool, let's check in. Like, hey, do you think you can handle more? How are you recovering? Like, if you're a complete, 10 out of 10 recovering every week, I know I can probably dose you a little bit higher. If I went so low relative to where they were at, great. Cause I don't want to detrain them. I want to make sure that they're getting some level of training stimulus. And that's more times or not how I'll tend to approach things. It also gets really challenging when people throw in outside things. Like, they're running extracurriculars or they're doing sports outside of that. Cause it's like, okay, well, how do I manage that fatigue? Like, I have no idea realistically how fatiguing that stuff is.
Right.
So that makes the whole thing a little bit more challenging. Advanced athletes or, athletes that I've kind of had in my, stable for longer periods of times, the conversation will be a little bit harsher. And I don't mean harsh like I yell at them. It's just like, hey, he kind of, here are the facts. This is realistically where we need to be from a volume standpoint. I understand that, you may want to do more, but if we're seeing progress, doing more does not often yield to fast tracking progress. It more times than not leads to overuse issues, bumps and bruises, you feeling tired and things like that. So if we're trending upwards, I kind of more times than not put the kibosh on those requests. And I'm like, let's stay the course and play the long game. That's more times than not where I land. Like, if you've been with me for 4 years, clearly you're getting better. You're clearly improving. So why change the formula for the sake of trying to fast track things?
Brain is a crazy thing, man, right? FOMO, these fears of not being able to quote unquote keep up with the Joneses, right? We see this in every aspect of life, from owning a home to what your kids are doing, what you're putting your kids through, and what you buy for yourself, and the training. It's like in everything, there could be junk expenditures, and expenditures could reference literally buying something or literally energy expenditure and junk volume, right? And it's a very tough landscape to navigate. I think for a lot of coaches, especially newer coaches or coaches who are trying to hold on to athletes or keep people, but we have this desire to do more, right? That's human nature. We got to do more. We got to push harder. We got to keep working. And we see that issue a lot with these athletes because, I run into as well with high level people where like, hey, I was talking to so-and-so and so-and-so, and they're saying they're averaging 5 hours a week of zone 2 work. And I'm averaging 3 hours and 45 minutes of zone 2 work. Like, I got to do another 2 hours. And it's like, no, you fucking don't. Like,
Yeah, like maybe he's
it's
in a
like,
super deficit.
yeah, it's like this. It's like you're not even in that phase. Like your phase is out of that. Like I don't even know why they're even doing that much volume in that with where we are in the year right now. And there's all these conversations. And the other thing is like there's so much context to everything that a lot of people don't understand that. Right? You look at like if we go back to the king of this would be Rich Froning. Right? You look at like his stuff, and there's so much context to what he could do and what he was doing, and it was obviously great for him. Doesn't make it right for everybody else, but so many people try to keep up with that. And so many people tried to emulate that and do that, feel like they had to do that. And it turns into wasted stuff. And then if you take that back, 20 degrees of athletes who are doing this to become better at CrossFit and have more structured, tailored training, you can't justify junk volume, right? It's like, it's like a baseball player saying, hey, I was in the batting cage for 2 hours today, but an hour and a half of that was terrible looking swings that did nothing for them to get better, right? It's like, okay, well, you got to stack the days, and you have to stack the days with the appropriate work that's right for you, that matches who you are and where you're trying to go and the volume intensity that you need. And yeah, it is a challenging conversation to navigate. And I liked how you broke that down with two different levels of athletes, from the beginners to the people who've been with you, because it is a different conversation, right? It's like if someone is brand new with you and you've been with them for 2 months, you can't just be like, shut the fuck up and do what I say. Well, I guess you could, but you're probably not going to have a high retention rate with that. But you might be able to do that. Like if Tyler came to you and said something, like you probably get away with a conversation like that with him. You're like, okay, right? So a lot of it comes down to what we talk about all the time is the art of communication, because great coaching is a blend between science and human connection and communicating. And you have to know how the athlete needs to be communicated with in a way that keeps the progress and everything steady with where you're trying to go with it.
Yeah, and I think it's to your point. You also don't know where the athlete. I mean, you may have an idea, but you don't. The athlete doesn't know what they don't know. So me just telling them no, especially on the front end, is more times than not going to be the most effective means. Like give them context to, hey, why this is why I think we should be doing less. This is how adaptation occurs. These are the signals that I've gotten from your assessment and the information I'm taking from your, recoverability surveys and things like that. This is how I'm getting to this. It's not just me saying you should do less. These are the inputs that I'm taking in, which is causing me to deliver this output to you, right? That's essentially what this is. And I think when you explain it to athletes like that, they're like, okay, that makes sense. This is objectionable or actionable data that he's taking in and then turning it around and being like, okay, this seems logical. And that I think that's also a big part of creating autonomous athletes, right? Like Tyler at this point in the game, he knows what he needs to do. And this is the least hands-on I've honestly been with him in the 4 years that I've been with him, because he knows, like he understands the season. He understands how things are going to wave. And it's really just me giving him benchmarks of like, okay, Tyler, we're here. This is what needs to happen. And he knows how to turn it on, right? Like from a nutrition standpoint, from an intensity standpoint, how am I structuring home to make sure that they're taken care of, but also allow me to dedicate the training time that I need, right? Like those are all real specific conversations at points in the training year that, we've crossed year after year. And now it's at the point where like, even he knows, he's like, I know it's coming, and he'll start before I even tell him he's got to like ditch the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, dude, like I can't, like you and I talk about it all the time of truly understanding your athletes. And the more you understand them and who they are and what drives them and what motivates them, which I guess is, I just said the same thing twice, but to me, you can't truly effectively coach somebody until you really dive into it. Now, you can coach somebody really well, right? I'm not saying you can't, but, and what I'm saying is because you talk about like Tyler and ditching the Dairy Queen and he's autonomous and all this stuff. And I'm not going to say any names, but I have a athlete I work with, and for a while, like I would be banging my head against the door with like, just these ebbs and flows of communication that just aren't vibing right, and I had this deeper conversation with the person, and it just fucking dawned on me that I'm like, I phrase this. Like, there's something there biologically that's not synthesizing properly. Does that make sense? I think I said that correctly. And I was like, fuck, like it took me 2 years to realize that. And I'll talk to you more about this when we stop hitting record. Sorry, listeners, but it took me, but my point is like I've been doing this for like 25 years, and that still took me almost 2 years to understand that. And now, like the way I handle the situations of the conversations, instead of being like, I'm going to fire this person, this is like ridiculous. Now I'm like, man, like, it's more like an empathetic, like fuck, their brain just is too noisy and they can't help it because of the situation that they're in. So it's like, okay, how can I do my best with this to make it less noisy? It's never not going to be noisy, right? It's never not going to be noisy 100%. For them, and it's never not going to shut off. It's never not going to do what it's doing. But it's like, how can I? So now the way I handle a situation is way different than what it was a month ago, because I finally was able to understand this. What I was going to say is, my point is, for the people listening, if you are coaches listening, like sometimes no matter how long you're doing this, it can still take a long time to grab onto the person, because they try to hide, like the higher level someone is, the better someone is, the more they hide, I'll say, a deficiency is, and you really have to do your best to try to find it. Whether it is a movement deficiency or something from a communication standpoint. When I say communication, I'm referencing the whole gamut of the person, of the being. So it happens to everybody. You just got to keep plugging away and keep peeling the onion back to try to figure it out.
Yeah. Where I thought you were going with that is volatility. And it's important to look at the volatility that they have in their life, where some people, it's important to understand that training may be an outlet for them, right? And I've had to cope with that. If life is very volatile, they just have a lot going on that may be outside of their normal. It may actually not be the most beneficial thing to pull back on training. Like, there's probably some things you want to consider pulling back on, like intensity, but oftentimes giving them a gym session that is resembling something that they're used to allows them to bring stability into the volatility.
Totally.
Right? Because they can only there's only so much emotional energy you can put out into the world. And if they're now battling the volatility in life and you're like, hey, we got to pull back, we got to like do all these things. Now they feel like everything is changing and everything is imploding, which may send them into a deeper spiral. So that's a conversation. Don't always be super proactive in pulling back on your athletes. Have a conversation first. And if they're like, yeah, please pull back, then we pull back, right? Like I have a guy now who's like, we were full bore. We were getting after it. And then he started a vet clinic and we went from like pretty dense training sessions and we're doing like 30-minute bangers, right? Like easy breathing. And like, I saw the writing on the wall, like he started missing workouts, and this guy like never misses workouts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, cool, man, I'm going to pull back just to give you some more time in the clinic. And I framed it that way, where it's like, I know you have to be present in the life change thing. So, hey, we're going to pull back. I'm going to give you an extra 90 minutes a day to work there, and we'll just go into maintenance mode. And he was like, oh my, thank God. Like,
yeah, thank
you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, totally.
And that was like a big thing for him. But again, that came through like knowing who this person was and how they were going to respond. I knew it wasn't going to be like an implosion or him thinking he's less than. He's like, no, dude, like the life priority is the vet clinic. Fitness is a thing that supports that, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important.
Great. I love it.
It's really important.
All right. We're going to cap it there. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Got some good information from this. If you are a coach out there looking to further enhance your ability to coach, to write programs, to communicate with athletes, and to continually elevate yourself in the coaching world, we have our Conquer Athlete Coaching Development course. It's a 12-week course put on by Ryan and I. It's the best on the market. It's one where we walk you through soup to nuts, we hold your hand and help you develop as a coach, as a programmer, with your coaching toolkit over the 12 weeks with one-on-one calls and assignments. We have the next one starting off July 8th. There's only 2 spots left. If you sign up before June 1st, you will get $500 off, but you have to sign up before June 1st to take advantage of that deal. If you're an athlete out there and you look for coaches that will truly listen to you, give you feedback, meet you where you are, and create a program that's built for you, not somebody else, then get on a call with us, see how we can best guide you as coaches with inside of the Conquer Athlete individual design track. Shout out to Tyler Cook this weekend at Syndicate Crown, CrossFit 1124. Crush it. Shout out to Tudor Magda at NorCal Classic. Hope you crush it. And lastly, I'd like to thank me for being me.
It's a very LeBron-esque closing right there.
Man, that's a Snoop. That's Snoop. Have you heard Snoop's speech?
Yeah, I have. Dan Hardiman playing out NorCal too. So if you see a tiny little Korean man who's super jacked, say what's up. He's currently looking for a wife. So if you're a lady interested in yoked Korean, head out to NorCal this week.
Dan's your man. Oh man, we gotta tell. What else? Right? Anything else we want to talk trash about?
Don't waste your time with any other mentorships. I'm at this point, whatever. We're 6 cohorts deep. It's the best on the market. If you really want to level up and learn how to coach people and not just what's floating around on Instagram this week, we're your guy.
Hell yeah, get after it. And as always, Coach RX Podcast Network. Check that out. Shout out to Candace and everything that she's doing over there. So that's it. Enough with that. Later.